Hello and welcome everybody to this. I'm not exactly sure I'm going to call it. It's a bit obscure. Whatever I call it, it's going to be a bit obscure. Basically, the story goes like this. A friend of mine asked me to read one of his stories and make a video about it and then post it on the internet. It's very simple, very short, and I decided, I was like, you know, why the hell not? Of course I'll do it. And that's how we got here. And so yeah, I know usually I do like gaming content and stuff, but so this is a bit of like a special occasion, if you will. So I was like, man, why the hell not? I'll probably put some position music in the background because I can, and if I edit it correctly, it should be like not very loud, so you can hear me over it, and it should make it a bit more atmospheric. But that's as far as the explanation for the video goes. I mean, if you have no interest in hearing the story, I suggest you leave now, because that's all this video is going to be. If you do want to stick around though, then you know, I guess I'd appreciate it. And here we go. When I was 12 in 2009, I went to American Chicago to visit my grandparents and some other family members. We were staying in a house which was in Lincolnwood, a place near Chicago. Our house was in a row with about 15 others. The back entrance led to a park, which then led to a street. Between the house and the park was some sort of grassy road, which went all the way to the end of the row of houses, something to keep the houses apart from the park. Me being the 12-year-old that I was, I used to spend a huge part of my day in the park, both daily and nightly. One night, about 2 weeks after I'd arrived and was used to the place, something strange happened. I was doing my usual thing and running around the grassy road right by the entrance to our yard. At one moment I started looking at the houses, admiring them. While I was doing so, I looked at the road, and on the outside of a house about 100 meters from me, just standing there and looking at me, was a huge, completely dark figure. It was about 2 meters tall and unhumanly wide. I could see its shape, but nothing more than that. It was like a shadow, darker than the night. After a couple of seconds of me staring at it with disbelief, fear overwhelmed me, and I bolted into my house. Those seconds of mystery I'd forgotten about a couple of days after, until one morning when I got out of my yard, that grassy road right outside my house, there were cutes splattered all over the ground. I called my father for an explanation, and he told me that they were a rabbit and that some rude people must just have dumped them there. I agree, but in my head a picture of the thing I had seen was emerging. Rabbits and squirrels were running around the park every day. Maybe it wasn't people who had a rabbit for dinner, maybe it was something else. And I had an idea of what it was. Again, I was on vacation and was enjoying myself, so the dark thoughts in my head had been forgotten. That is, until that night. About 10 days later, experience was catching fireflies in the park by the house. So I was having fun chasing little green lights which were flying around the park when I saw it. I was at the peak entrance and was looking towards the street. And right under a pine tree by the street was that huge dark thing again. I call it a thing even though it looked like a shadow, because I could kind of feel it was not one. Again, the same scenario. It looking at me, not moving a muscle, and me looking at it, paralyzed with fear. This time the distance between us was about 30 meters, and I could see how gigantic it was. But the scariest thing was its shape. It was like a man, but more monstrous. It resembled a human so much, but on the other hand, it was obvious it was not. This time I stayed to look at it, and was just concentrated on its dark features. After about 10 seconds of us looking at each other, it suddenly, well, I cannot say it jumped, but it resembled a jump more than anything else. It sort of did a move like jump up to the tree. 1 second, I'm looking at it, and the next, it just shifts itself straight up in a straight line. The moment that had occurred, I was back into reality once again, and my legs had started moving on their own and led me back to the safety of my home. The next day, it was about 10 AM, and the morning I just found my way to the park with my phone and was standing under the tree. The entity had been doing the same the night before. As I was investigating the spot, I thought about how the creature never did anything else but looked at me. It never threatened to harm me, nor had it done anything that would make me fear it, other than being scary looking thing as it was. I questioned myself, was I not its target? Was I checking if I was right for it? Maybe it wanted to tell me something, to warn me. What if I was still young and pure, so it didn't have enough power to hurt me? Because if it wanted, it could. That thing would have disappeared with me in a matter of seconds, with its light or, well, in this case, dark speed. But one important thing I know and remember well is that while I was looking at it, I had never felt such a big amount of fear about it hurting. Well, I felt was more like adrenaline, so was it actually a threat? I guess I will never know, or maybe one day we'll meet again and I just might find what it had planned for me. As for what I found that day, still makes me question myself. What was imprinted in the ground under the tree were 3 horn-shaped feet prints. Should be footprints. And when I looked up at the tree, and when I looked up at the top of the tree, there was a big broken branch that was still hardly attached to it. Someone messed up at the end there. Right, well, that's as far as it goes. Now follows about 2 to 3 minutes of constructive criticism. I tried to not really bring attention to this while I'm reading, but there's mistakes here. There's like structural, grammatical mistakes here. There's certain sentences that don't exactly work, but are put together. There you go. That's my constructive criticism. In terms of the story itself, you know, I didn't go into this expecting a bloody, I don't know, mystery novel and piece of art. I pretty much got what I expected. I'm not saying it's bad, but I'm not saying it's oh my god, you should publish this, you'll make millions. It is what it is. It's a bloody story, and it's okay, I guess. There's anything else I can tell you about it. There we go. I hope you liked it, and well, if you didn't, don't look at me. I'm not the one who wrote it. I'll just wash my hands off of all responsibility, and it's gonna end it there, I guess. There we go. I feel like the ending was a bit weak. Let's just put that, because we end with a broken branch, right? Okay. I like open endings, I generally do, but this is a bit isn't really open. It's sort of just a brick wall at the end. There we go. That's it though. Thanks for watching, and bye bye.